Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's the real Kale back with some MK11 content. You guys see the title of the video. I honestly didn't want to make this video because I feel like I didn't want to do this because this is still very rumor heavy, but I saw this doing the rounds all over the web today. And as an NRS content creator, I feel like I need to just give my opinion. So there's rumor and word on the street reportedly that NetherRealm Studios is working on a Marvel game. NRS Studios, they're only known for fighting games, so we can only surmise that this will be a Marvel fighting game, just like how Injustice is a DC fighting game. And as a comic book fan, this makes me excited, but I just want to say this real quick, y'all. I do not think this is true. I don't think this bit of info, this is just pure rumor, and I want everybody who's read this online and seeing this doing the rounds on the interwebs, take this with a grain of salt, please, because I honestly, this is just too good to be true. This is like something that you would see on April Fools. Like, it's still April. I still think, like, yo, it's April. Don't believe anything you say. But then again, like I said, April's always been a big month for NRS and Mortal Kombat. So, yeah. But, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. So, on one hand, for me personally, I love comic books. There's like a couple things that I'm like truly passionate about. It's gaming, pro wrestling, comic books, probably movies, music, right? So I really do think that it's kind of amazing. Like, there are a lot of video games based on comic books, like comic book characters, but we're only now getting good comic book video games, like the recent, Spider-Man Miles Morales, both the PS4 Spider-Man games, the Batman Arkham series. Those are the only good ones in recent memory that I can remember. If we're just talking outside of fighting games, of course you have the Marvel vs. Capcom series, and then you have the Injustice series. Before that, you have like here and there like good superhero games. So I guess like the X-Men Legends games on PlayStation, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and then pretty much everything else is garbage as far as superhero games goes as video games. And it's like there's no reason for that, because I see like superheroes are like the most video gamey thing ever. They're literally people with extraordinary powers, and they have villains. It seems like it would be so easy to turn that into a video game, right? But a lot of people, they just get the license, but they're not passionate about it, and they just do things wrong. And it's still very, very possible to have bad superhero games. Just look at the latest Marvel's Avengers game. That game, it seemed like it had writing on the wall to be good. Seemed like it, because Square Enix, they do RPGs with Final Fantasy, and it's a Marvel game. And we're at that point, we were so used to getting good superhero games, but that game is a colossal disaster. Shout out to anybody still playing that game. But anyways, y'all, a Marvel fighting game, I gotta be real, it does excite me. It really does excite me. And I've always said this. So my friends, they're big Marvel vs. Capcom fans. I feel like most people around my age, I'm 23, if you guys don't know, most people around my age, they started playing Marvel vs. Capcom with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, right? And I feel like people in the 30s, they've been playing Marvel vs. Capcom since the first one. People still say to this day Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is like one of the best fighting games of all time. Just because the roster, the soundtrack, and just the stuff that you can do in that game. And like, it takes a lot of skill, but it's also like has this crazy janky shit that just makes fighting games awesome. But I ain't gonna lie, Marvel vs. Capcom has never really appealed to me, and it's mainly because, one, I never grew up with that game. I've always grew up with Mortal Kombat and Tekken. And two, I just don't give a shit about Capcom characters, y'all. I'm not a fan of Capcom. I'm not a fan of Resident Evil. I'm not a fan of Street Fighter. I am not a fan of Devil May Cry. I'm not a fan of Mega Man. That stuff does not appeal to me. Dead Rising. I almost said Dead or Alive. Dead Rising. What else do they have? Bionic Commando. There's like only one Capcom game that I like, and that's Okami. that's it. And Okami was a one-off thing. So, sorry, Marvel vs. Capcom does not appeal to me. And I know you could say, hey, just play the game with the Marvel characters, but I feel like that's just half the game, like, gone to waste, right? So I've always thought to myself, fighting game with just Marvel characters would be so friggin' good, and it just makes too much sense to have NRS do this. Just look at what NRS has done, and I just seriously, just clear your mind right now for a second. Do me a favor, y'all. Clear your mind for a second. And I know some people were very upset about this because they really want Marvel vs. Capcom. I personally think Marvel vs. Capcom deserves another chance. Marvel Infinite, from casual Marvel players and hardcore Marvel players, they say Marvel Infinite was garbage, right? That game literally died in a couple months. You cannot deny that NetherRealm Studios has not been putting out some of the best fighting games, and they've just consistently been getting better at making their games throughout the years. They just have, for better or for worse. I know some people are like, oh well, MK11 has this and that, but look, if we're just talking about quality and attracting a casual audience and production, NRS has just been improving. They keep outdoing themselves in terms of just quality and production. So I think if they were handed a project to make a Marvel fighting game, they would knock it out of the park. They would stay true to the characters. They'll get the right casting. It will have a really good story mode. We haven't had a really good story mode with a lot of Marvel characters since, to be quite fair, since probably Ultimate Alliance, like the first Ultimate Alliance. That game came out in 2007 or so. We haven't had a good one since then. And with Marvel right now, seeing how Marvel is one of the biggest franchises, the biggest house IPs ever, because of the movies and the TV shows, and the fact that Marvel is able to get people involved and get casual audiences involved in characters that no one really even gave a damn about. Like, just look at the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Let's be real, y'all. The Falcon is not that important. He's an important character in the comics, but compared to everybody else, like Spider-Man, the X-Men, and like the Fantastic Four growing up, he was a way bottom of the barrel compared to, and now everybody cares about the Falcon. Same thing with Winter Soldier. WandaVision. Look, you're definitely capping if you said that you're a big Scarlet Witch Vision fan before that show. I think you're definitely capping. They've had some moments in the comics, but they really were not that fleshed out characters. They were not that popular. Growing up, the most popular superheroes were always Spider-Man, X-Men, Superman, Batman, Justice League, Hulk. Captain America was up there, but nothing. They've actually done a great job at bringing in so many of like the obscure Marvel characters, the characters that just haven't gotten that much attention to life. Like, I have to give it off to them. And seeing like NRS, seeing what they've done with Injustice, they will make that game. They would treat that game with tender love and care. There would be so many skins, the intros and outros. Just think about the storyline, the content. Like, NRS has the best single player content in any fighting game. All these other fighting games, I'm really not trying to rag on them, but they need to step it up. They just do not hold a candle to NRS when it comes to production, budget, and especially single player content. Like, all these other fighting games, you really can't do anything in their games but play online. NRS fighting games, there's at least a really well thought out, fleshed out single player that some people like to replay. It's kind of like a movie, honestly. And the single player towers, right? And there's like things to unlock. All these other fighting games, I think there's just limited on unlocks, and the online is just, that's it. That's all they have. They just have the online. And you know what? Not a lot of people are into playing online fighting games, believe it or not. People like us, if you're watching this channel, you're definitely into playing fighting games online. But you're in the minority. We're in the minority. The people who play fighting games for a long period of time, we're the minority, y'all. So I think this, if they make this game, this has a chance of being one of the best-selling fighting games of all time. And I know that NRS, if they're given the opportunity to make this game, they're gonna put all their efforts into it. And I know what people are thinking, particularly the Marvel fans. We don't want this because we want Marvel vs. Capcom, and we just don't like how NRS games play. I get it. I understand. Injustice is a fireball fest. Injustice 1, Injustice 2, there's the zoning and the defensive options are just, they're so strong, and we don't want our Marvel characters to be limited to just throwing projectiles and a special move span fest, right? And I could completely understand that. As much as I love Injustice 1 and Injustice 2, I do think the gameplay needs to be overhauled and just tone down the zoning and the keep away play style in that game. And I totally agree. I 100% agree. But we have to also admit that NRS has proven to always soak in community feedback, and they're not afraid to change games up no matter what. Injustice, yes, Injustice 1 and 2, they actually play very similarly, but that was the purpose of that game. Now looking back at it, I really do feel like the first Injustice was more like a test for this Injustice 2. Injustice 2 really was just a more polished, more fleshed out Injustice 1. The gameplay is a bit faster, the roster is a bit better, but there's just a bit more mechanics, and the balance overall is a lot better in Injustice 2. But MK9 plays completely different from MKX, and MKX plays completely different from MK11. MKX and MK11 kind of went in just complete different directions. And Ed Boon, I remember Ed Boon saying that he really just didn't want to make the same game, and that's why all three of those games feel so different. They actually are willing to change things up. So I really don't think that the next Marvel game, let's say if this game is a Marvel game, let's say if the next game that NRS makes, I don't think the next NRS game is going to be so catered to projectiles like that. And we've seen that NRS is capable of making games that are not catered to zoning and projectile spam, because just look at, honestly, the 3 Mortal Kombat games that I just named, zoning is not the best playstyle in those games at all. You can zone in MK9 and 11, but zoning in MK9 11, that's not the best playstyle. If you're getting zoned out in those games, you're just impatient and you probably just don't know the matchup. And MKX, you can't really get zoned out in that game. Let's be honest, y'all. There's so many counter zoning options, and even the characters that are considered zoners, they're actually better rushing in and trying to 50-50 you to death. So that just proves it. I think NRS is completely capable in this game of making this game and making it good and making it live up to people's expectations and just standards of a fighting game. It's just, if people are willing to just put aside their biases and give it a try, that's about it. But I think you guys all like NRS games on this channel. This is an NRS channel. But with that being said, I'm taking this with a grain of salt. I don't believe this is true. I really do think that Injustice 3 is still definitely in the cards, and mainly just because that's just thinking about the way how that game ended story-wise. There's so much potential for story mode content, and most importantly, licensing. Video game licensing is very important. NRS is still underneath Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers did not get rid of NRS Studios. I find it very hard to believe that they're going to be able to make that Disney and Warner Brothers are going to come together to make this game. I just feel like that just sounds insane. That sounds like crazy budget. That sounds like millions of dollars just for one game, and that sounds like a lot of chefs in the kitchen, and usually that spells a recipe for disaster. So I don't think it's gonna come to fruition, but holy shit if it does. I am whooping everybody's ass with Spider-Man. I'm whooping everybody's ass with Spider-Man, Cyclops, Black Panther, Daredevil, who else? Iceman. Oh yes. yo, we're gonna get the works. And my God, imagine what a Marvel fighting game would do for this channel. But anyways, y'all, let me know what you guys think about this whole NRS Marvel game fiasco. Let me know what you guys think. I know this is like a match made in heaven for a lot of us, but please trust me, take this with a grain of salt. Do not speak this as gospel, because this is probably just like one of those like rumors that's going around. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm gonna leave links in the description regarding like articles talking about this, so you guys can read up on it yourself. But just wanted to give my opinions on the whole thing. So let me know what you guys think. Put sound off in the comments. Stay real, y'all. No gameplay today because PSN was down for me all day. I don't know what was going on. It's okay. It's not good to play MK11 every day anyways. So thank you guys for watching. Stay real, y'all. Make sure you leave a like on this video. Share it with your friends. Subscribe. Y'all have been slacking with the likes. I'm getting on y'all. I'm getting on y'all right now for these likes. Leave a like on this video. Thank you all for watching. Stay real. Peace.